The turkey smell drifted through the doorway when my daughter-in-law stepped into my path, arms folded, eyes like stone. "You're not welcome at Thanksgiving unless you apologize," she said. The words stung like a slap. "My name is Margaret. Lewis, I'm 76, a retired teacher, and once I believed family meant loyalty. Sacrifice a place at the table no matter what. Yet there I stood, clutching the pumpkin pie I'd baked, told that my presence was an offense. I waited for my son Daniel to intervene. He was inside, pretending to be busy arranging chairs, aligning silverware. His silence weighed heavier. Then Cheryl's sharpness. "Wouldn't even meet my eyes," I whispered. "Daniel, are you really going to let this happen?" He kept his head bowed. Laughter swelled from the dining room, glasses clinking, children shouting while I stood outside in the November wind. I set the pie and the small wooden box of recipes on the porch table. If memories meant nothing, to them I would not beg. Wrapping my scarf tighter, I walked back to my car, every step heavier than the last dot. Something inside me cracked. Something else hardened. If they thought I was powerless, they were about to learn otherwise. Driving home, the past returned uninvited. 2009. Daniel at my kitchen table, pale, shaking, whispering, "Mom, I'm losing everything." I had spent decades teaching, saving, planning for a modest retirement. Yet when my son's pride collapsed, I opened my accounts, signed my name beside. His, what I thought was a lifeline, became a chain. Gratitude had faded. Entitlement replaced it. Cheryl's voice sharpened. Daniel's silence grew heavier. Tonight, that silence sealed my exile. In my kitchen, I stared at the blinking answering machine. Neighbors' kind wishes meant nothing. The one voice I wanted was silent. I spooned lentil soup into a bowl, but it tasted of ash. At last, I dug out the folder marked Accounts. My name, his name. Signatures binding me to someone I no longer recognized. Trust once broken is no longer protection. It becomes a blade. Thanksgiving night, across town. Emily, my granddaughter, had watched in silence as her mother barred me from the door. She saw the pie in my arms, the way my shoulders sagged as I walked away. At dinner, she sat stiff, food untouched, listening to her parents whisper about a property near Lake Erie. Later, alone in the study, she opened Cheryl's laptop. Emails glowed. Brokers congratulated them on funds not yet theirs. "Once the transfer is complete, you'll be positioned for the Lake Erie purchase." Emily printed the messages with trembling hands, hid them in her jacket, and lay awake that night with only one thought. They're circling Grandma like vultures. The next morning, a knock echoed on my door. Emily stood shivering, clutching a folder like a shield. "Grandma," she whispered, "I can't keep this to myself." Her hands shook as she slid the emails across the table. Reading Cheryl's words, "We need to move fast before she notices," fury replaced despair. Emily's eyes brimmed with tears. "They treat your money as if you don't matter." I took her hands. "Then it's time." Time for what? She asked for me to act before they do. Black Friday dawned cold. I walked into the bank, carrying my leather folder, every document, every scrap of proof. "I need to close all joint accounts with Daniel Lewis," I told the senior banker. "Transfer everything into a new trust. Beneficiary, Emily Lewis." He studied me. "Understand, Mrs. Lewis, joint accounts allow either party to withdraw. That's why I came first." One by one, I signed the papers. Each signature felt like cutting a chain. When he finally said, "Your accounts are officially closed," relief washed through me like sunlight. Emily, sitting beside me, squeezed my hand. "You did it, Grandma." "Yes, and they'll never take it again." Across town, Daniel and Cheryl shopped as though the world owed them luxury. Bags from Gucci and Prada dangled from their arms. At Rolex, Daniel tried on a watch. The cashier swiped his card. Declined. Again. Declined. Panic rose. Cheryl's phone glowed with failed transactions. Rage spread across her face. She did something, she hissed. She's not as weak as you thought. Daniel's jaw clenched. She warned us. Just didn't listen. By nightfall, they were at my door. The pounding rattled the glass. What did you do? Naya shouted when I let them in. I laid the papers on the table. Joint accounts closed. Funds transferred. Sole beneficiary, Emily Lewis. Cheryl's voice cracked. You can't erase us from what's ours. It was never yours, I said calmly. It was trust, and you buried it. Daniel slumped into a chair, shame clouding his face. I don't understand, Mom. 2009 destroyed me. I lost everything. I hated how steady you stayed. I looked at him, steady at last. Pain explains behavior. It doesn't excuse betrayal. Emily stepped from the doorway, eyes fierce. She threw the printed emails onto the table. I saw everything. You wanted to erase her while she was still alive? That isn't family. It's theft. Cheryl spat. Ungrateful child? No, Emily said, voice unshaken. Grateful. To the only one who ever loved me without a price tag. Daniel couldn't meet her gaze. His silence at last spoke. Truth. Weeks later, I moved into a small house by the lake. Gray walls, quiet porch, clean air. Emily helped unpack. We ate fish and chips on the steps, laughing when the forks bent. My phone buzzed with Daniel's name. I turned it face down. Silence was sweeter. That night, I wrote Emily a letter. Never sit at a table that exists only to measure how much you can endure. Walk away. Set your own table. Invite those who honor you, not those who consume you. I folded the letter and sealed it. Outside, the lake shimmered under the moonlight. For once, I wasn't waiting for approval. My dignity was intact. My peace was mine, and I finally understood. I hadn't lost my family. I had chosen who deserved to be part of it.